Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jumpa lagi dengan Media Perkebunan di channel Media Perkebunan yang selalu mengupdate informasi buat teman-teman planters seputar perkebunan. Dan kita harapkan teman-teman semua dalam keadaan sehat selalu dan tidak kurang satu apapun, serta tetap diberi limpahan rezeki oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala yang halal dan barokah. Amin 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 ya rabbal alamin. Oke Sobat Planters, pada kesempatan kali ini kita akan mengupdate informasi tentang kondisi dan situasi perkebunan di Kolumbia yang unik dan berbeda. Dan video ini nanti akan kita sertakan link videonya untuk teman-teman dapat melihat secara langsung video asli daripada yang telah kita upload. Dan sebelumnya kami mohon maaf juga bagi teman-teman semua bahwa ini hanyalah sekedar informasi bagi teman-teman untuk memperkaya khazanah perkelapa sawitan kita. Dan akhirnya kita hanya mengucapkan terima kasih dan selamat menikmati. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. Colombia is located in South America and has a population of nearly 49 million inhabitants and a medium-high development level. Because of its location, Colombia has a natural disposition for tropical crops such as oil palm. Colombia has an agricultural frontier of 44 million hectares, of which only 7 million are being used in crops, and scarcely only about 480,000 hectares are intended to grow oil palm. None of these is found in the Amazon forest or its surroundings. This is confirmed by a study published in 2016 by Varsha Vijay, Stuart Pym, Clinton Jenkins, and Sharon Smith of the Duke University in the United States, and Madhur Anand of the University of Guelph in Canada. Entitled The Impacts of Oil Palm on Recent Deforestation and Loss of Biodiversity. This research assures that although in Colombia between 1989 and 2013, the cultivated area increased by 69.5%, the percentage of deforestation was 0%. On the other hand, in September 2016, Paul Furumo and Mitchell Aide of the University of Puerto Rico in San Juan published their study characterizing commercial oil palm expansion in Latin America, land use change and trade, showing that the expansion of oil palm crops in Colombia between 2001 and 2014 took place on lands, more than 91%, that had previously had pastures for extensive livestock, or were used for other crops such as cotton, rice, or banana. Therefore, according to these and others' studies, oil palm in Colombia has minimally impacted biodiversity. The Colombian oil palm sector is working to preserve biodiversity and shows respect for the environment, as it is convinced that the sustainability of this agro-industry is associated to the good management of natural resources. Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. Oil palm has mostly been grown in soils that had other land uses in the past. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, Colombia is one of the 7 countries with real possibilities for expanding agricultural production to new areas without deforestation in order to meet the growing food needs of the world. Colombia is the top producer of oil palm in America and the 4th in the world with a 2% share. In Colombia, oil palm crops are present in 124 municipalities in 22 different departments, and the agro-industry is organized in around 69 oil palm nucleus, where the fruit from approximately 6,000 oil palm growers is processed. About 85% of these producers are considered small-scale oil palm growers, since they have less than 50 hectares. Many of them are organized in 133 strategic productive alliances as part of the inclusive businesses of this agro-industry. The Colombian National Federation of Oil Palm Growers, FEDEPALMA, has been a member of the Roundtable of Sustainable Palm Oil, RSPO, since its creation in 2004, and oil palm companies have adopted the RSPO standard as one of their role models. In just 8 years since the RSPO Sustainable Certification Scheme was launched at the end of 2008, Colombia has achieved to certify about 12% of its palm oil production as sustainable. Currently, there are many companies and growers in the process of RSPO certification, and the goal by 2021 is that 50% of crude palm oil production is certified. A Colombian company for 3 consecutive years has placed first in the world ranking of sustainable companies designed by the Zoological Society of London, an active member of the RSPO. The national interpretation of the principles and criteria for RSPO certification is reviewed and updated periodically. In September 2016, the second version was approved, comprising 8 principles, 43 criteria, and more than 130 indicators focused on the management, administration, and operation of oil palm crops and mills for meeting the regulations, the laws in force, and result economically viable, environmentally appropriate, and socially beneficial. From 2012 to 2018, the Biodiverse Palm Landscape Project has been underway, carried out jointly by the Alexander von Humboldt Institute, the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, CENIPALMA, and FEDEPALMA, funded by the United Nations, GEF. The purpose is to contribute to the conservation of biodiversity and sustainable management of oil palm systems through better planning and adoption of agroecological practices in oil palm areas. The Colombian oil palm sector is committed to a biodiverse management. In this project, more than 1,200 species of plants have been registered in the oil palm areas, as well as 560 animal species such as birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles, among others, that exist thanks to oil palm plantations on lands previously used for pastures or short-cycle crops. The oil palm agro-industry contributes to the mitigation of climate change by offering a clean energy alternative through palm biodiesel and the potential cogeneration of electric energy from the biomass resulting of the extraction process, which could generate more than 340 megawatts of energy, a value that is very close to that contributed by hydroelectric power. Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. Transforms informality into formal and dignified employment. For more than 60 years, Colombia has been experiencing an armed conflict where coca cultivation and illegal mining have been the main precursors of violence and the financing of illegal armed groups that have generated forced displacement in some rural areas of the country. With scarce presence and investment of the state and high levels of poverty. This Colombian reality is framed by legal gaps that are currently in the process of being resolved by the national government. Oil palm cultivation in Colombia, on the contrary, is a modern, highly formal, organized sector led by private companies that respond to public policies to economically and socially develop the Colombian countryside. This sector has been an example in the promotion and development of inclusive businesses, with small and medium-scale oil palm growers in those regions affected by violence, and proven to be a solution, since it is an activity that provides economic growth and well-being for its populations. Currently, there are oil palm foundations working in several topics for contributing to the consolidation of sustainable communities in oil palm areas. At the same time, oil palm in many of these regions has been part of crop substitution programs supported by the national, regional, and local governments, as well as diverse national and international organizations. A recent study carried out by the Colombian government shows that when comparing municipalities with armed conflict, where oil palm is grown, versus those municipalities with armed conflict where there is no oil palm, incomes from oil palm municipalities exceed those that do not have such agricultural development by 30%, cataloging this difference as the social dividend of oil palm. Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. It has been recognized as an important generator of formal employment. In 2011, the World Bank conducted a study on the oil palm sector worldwide, finding that it generates up to 30 times more employment per unit area than other large-scale crops such as soybean. Likewise, there's a 1% increase in the productive area that contributes to a reduction of 0.15 to 0.25% of people living in poverty. Colombia is a country that needs to generate employment in rural areas, where 14.4 million people live, representing 30.4% of the total population. More than 90% of the rural population is poor, has unsatisfied basic needs, and therefore is highly vulnerable. Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. It changes poverty by progress and well-being. Oil palm is an organized agricultural sector that contributes to the reduction of poverty in the countryside, seeks protection for biodiversity, and takes care of the environment, provides formal and legal labor alternatives, and strives for the development of inclusive businesses, providing opportunities that transform the reality of the Colombian countryside. Oil palm in Colombia is unique and differentiated. It transforms the territory from the illegal to the legal. Contrary to those defamatory voices that have interests for the rural sector to continue being within informality, illegality, and poverty, the Colombian oil palm sector generates economic growth, contributes to the eradication of poverty, is conducted in an environmentally sustainable way, and in many regions is one of the main alternatives for agricultural development, contributing actively to the construction of peace.